They say that some secrets are better left buried, that some powers exist in this world, unseen yet deeply felt, lingering just beyond our senses. Among these powers, there is one so malevolent that it awakens only once every century. This is the story of that dark force, and how it found its way into the lives of two unsuspecting souls. Ryan and Nora Carter were both writers, burnt out by the relentless chaos of New York City. The traffic, the sirens, the constant buzz of neon and ambition, it had drained them. They longed for silence, solitude, and inspiration. After months of searching, they stumbled upon a hidden gem, Blackthorn Manor, an abandoned mansion tucked away in a quiet, fog-draped town in rural Pennsylvania. The mansion had stood empty for decades. Its previous owner, an eccentric and reclusive woman named Eleanor Blackthorn, had passed away mysteriously, leaving the estate to decay in silence. But for the Carters, it was a steal. Beautiful, sprawling, and steeped in an aura of old-world charm, it promised peace. They signed the papers without a second thought and moved in. At first, life was idyllic. The rooms echoed with the soft creaks of history, and the sunlight filtering through the tall windows painted the walls with warmth. But that peace was fragile, and the manor had its own agenda. One evening, while unpacking a box of old belongings in the basement, Ryan heard it, a soft, rhythmic creaking, almost like a whisper. Following the sound, he discovered an antique rocking chair moving gently by itself atop a massive dust-covered chest. The chest was ancient, its surface corroded, padlocked with a rusted iron lock. Something inside seemed to tremble as if alive. Unable to resist, Ryan broke the lock. The lid creaked open, releasing a gust of cold air that swept through the basement. Inside lay a doll, wrapped in crimson velvet, atop a brittle, aged book. Some of the pages were torn, bearing the ominous warning, "Do not touch the Trigori. It draws the restless spirits." Curiosity gnawed at him. He tugged slightly at the red cloth, revealing the doll's face. Its eyes were milky white, its body black, unnatural in shape, almost breathing. Despite a deep unease gnawing at him, Ryan lifted the doll, carrying it upstairs to his study. He didn't notice the way the shadows in the room seemed to stretch toward him, watching. From that night onward, Ryan's life changed forever. Whispered cries echoed through the manor, hollow screams of agony that seemed to come from nowhere. He would awaken in the dead of night to see the hallways empty, yet the sounds persisted. One night, while writing at his desk, the lights flickered violently. Within seconds, every bulb in the room shattered, plunging him into darkness. A scream pierced the silence from outside. A feral, guttural cry. When he ran to investigate, he found a black cat, lifeless and cruelly torn, lying on the front steps. After that, Ryan felt it constantly. They were not alone in the house. The rocking chair in the basement never stopped swaying, and at night he began seeing faces of the dead in the shadows, twisted, horrifying visages that vanished when he blinked. Desperate, Ryan confided in Nora, but she laughed at him at first, dismissing his fears as exhaustion. Determined to understand the truth, Ryan pored over the book and its fragmented pages, decoding the history of the doll and the curse it harbored. His obsession grew. He even went into town seeking anyone who might know the legend of Trigori. An old local, sensing Ryan's desperation, directed him to a recluse, a spiritualist named Father Matthias, who had dealt with dark entities for decades. Father Matthias told Ryan a tale that chilled him to the bone, every 100 years, a series of rare lunar events, 3 nights aligning in 1 month, awaken a malevolent force known as Trigori. The first night is a dark new moon, the second a full moon, and the third another new moon, all in April. During these 3 nights, the entity rises from slumber, bringing devastation wherever it touches. The period is known as the Blackthorn Cycle, and it corrupts everything in its path. Ryan learned that the doll had once been used by a centuries-old witch who had tried to awaken the Trigori intentionally. The result, the decimation of an entire village, 500 souls lost in a single night, and sickness spreading to neighboring communities. Father Matthias warned him, the doll must never be disturbed, never touched, and never removed from its resting place. But Ryan had already done what he could not undo. The doll now resided in their study, watching, waiting. Father Matthias gave Ryan 2 black cats and instructed him, keep them in the house. They would help protect against the entity, at least temporarily. Over the next 2 days, Ryan tried every purification ritual, chanting the prayers, burning incense, placing protective symbols, but the mansion's atmosphere grew heavier, darker. On the appointed day, Father Matthias arrived with ceremonial tools. The items themselves were grotesque: human skulls, jars containing ashes, bones of deceased animals. Ryan and Nora felt their courage waver, but Father Matthias urged them forward. The doll, wrapped in crimson cloth, was placed at the center of the ritual circle. The ceremony began. Mantras were chanted. Candles flickered wildly. A scream tore through the house, agonizing, human, yet not entirely human. Shadows coalesced along the walls. A 10-foot-tall figure, black and faceless, moving toward them. Lights shattered as it advanced, the air cold enough to burn their lungs. The black cats leapt at each other in panic, clawing and biting, until one killed the other in the chaos. In a panicked move, Nora grabbed the doll and burned it with a match. Father Matthias recoiled, horrified. This will not end it. You have unleashed it further. Suddenly, the shadow intensified, and the mansion shook. Windows shattered, furniture tumbled, and the very air seemed to thrum with anger. That night, Ryan and Nora fought to survive. Father Matthias, abandoning the ritual in terror, fled into the night. By morning, Nora screamed. Her family's home in another town had mysteriously caught fire. Everyone inside perished. The couple realized the Trigori's curse could not be escaped once engaged. Soon after, news came that Father Matthias had been found, brutally murdered in the woods. Exhausted, Ryan thought of burning the chest itself, but when he approached the basement, the doll had returned, now perched atop the chest, staring at him with its blank white eyes. A scream echoed again, this time from Nora. He ran to her room. She held a knife. Behind her, the 10-foot shadow laughed, a cold, insane sound that filled the walls. Nora lunged at him before he could react, driven mad by the presence of the Trigori. Their screams echoed across the town, piercing the silence of the mountains. When the locals arrived, they found the mansion open, silent but for the echoes of violence. On every wall, in blood, were the words, Blackthorn Trigori. The basement held the lifeless forms of Ryan and Nora. On Ryan's desk lay his diary, chronicling every horrifying detail of their final days. No trace of the chest, no trace of the doll remained. Only the bloody words remained, a warning to anyone who dared approach Blackthorn Manor. To this day, residents of the area whisper of the Blackthorn Cycle, the curse that awakens once every century, bringing unimaginable horror. And when the next April aligns with the rare lunar pattern, some say the shadows will stir once more, waiting for the next careless soul to stumble into their grasp. The question remains, will anyone survive when the Trigori awakens again? Or will Blackthorn Manor claim yet another century of lives?